Hey there, history fans. Welcome back to another thrilling episode where we explore the past. Today we're diving into one of the most epic events in American history, the American Revolution. This was a time when the very foundation of a new nation was being laid. Imagine a bunch of British colonists in America deciding they didn't want to be ruled by a king across the ocean anymore. That's basically what happened. They were ready to take a stand and make their own rules. The American Revolution was a time of intense fighting, passionate speeches, and a whole lot of tea being thrown into a harbour. The Boston Tea Party became a symbol of defiance against British rule. But why did this all happen? What drove these colonists to such lengths? Well, the colonists were tired of being told what to do by the British government. They were frustrated with taxes and laws imposed without their consent. They felt like they weren't being treated fairly, and they were ready to fight for their freedom. They wanted a voice in their own governance and the right to self-determination. This fight for independence wasn't easy, but it led to the birth of a brand new nation, the United States of America. The signing of the Declaration of Independence marked a turning point. The American Revolution is a story about courage, determination, and the fight for liberty. It's about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So buckle up, grab your tricorn hats, and let's learn about this pivotal moment in history. There's so much to uncover and understand. Ready for a wild ride through history? Let's go. Join us as we journey through the events that shaped a nation. Okay, so why were the colonists so fed up with British rule? What drove them to the point of revolution? Imagine being told you have to pay taxes on everything from tea to stamps, and not just small amounts, but significant taxes that affect your daily life. But here's the kicker. You don't get a say in how that money is spent. No representation, no voice, just orders from across the ocean. That's what the colonists were dealing with. They were frustrated and felt completely powerless. The British government was imposing all sorts of taxes on the colonists without giving them any representation in Parliament. It was taxation without representation. This idea of taxation without representation became a rallying cry for the colonists. It was more than just a slogan, it was a demand for fairness and justice. They felt it was deeply unfair to be taxed without having a voice in the British government. They wanted to be heard and respected. Imagine someone taking your allowance and then telling you they get to decide how it's spent. Not cool, right? That's exactly how the colonists felt. The colonists tried to reason with the British government, but their pleas were ignored. They were met with more restrictions and more taxes. The more the British government tightened its grip, the more the colonists resisted. They organised boycotts, protests, and even acts of defiance. This growing tension eventually reached a boiling point, with skirmishes and clashes becoming more frequent and intense, leading to a full-blown revolution. The colonists were no longer just protesting, they were fighting for their freedom. Let's move on to some of the key events that made this revolution explode. Stay tuned as we dive into the battles and strategies that defined the American Revolution. Remember that thing about tea? It wasn't just any tea party, it was a bold act of defiance. Well, it played a pretty big role in the revolution. The colonists were fed up with the British imposing taxes without representation. In 1773, a group of colonists decided to make a statement by dumping 342 chests of British tea into Boston Harbour. This wasn't just a protest, it was a declaration of their unwillingness to be controlled. This event, known as the Boston Tea Party, showed the British government just how serious the colonists were about their grievances. It was a loud and clear message that they wouldn't back down. The Boston Tea Party was a turning point. It united the colonists and fueled the fire for independence. It showed the world that the colonists were willing to fight for their rights. Their determination was unwavering, and their message was heard loud and clear. Then, in 1776, something even bigger happened, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This was the ultimate act of defiance. This document, written by Thomas Jefferson, declared that the 13 American colonies were now free and independent states. It was a revolutionary idea that changed everything. Talk about a mic drop moment. The Declaration was more than just words on paper. It was a powerful statement of intent. The Declaration of Independence was a bold statement that changed the course of history. It inspired countless others to fight for their own freedom. It was a direct challenge to British rule and a testament to the colonists' desire for self-governance. They were ready to build a new nation based on their ideals. Next up, let's meet some of the revolutionary rock stars who made this all happen. These leaders were the driving force behind the movement for independence. Section 4. Revolutionary rock stars meet the heroes of the American Revolution. Every good revolution needs its heroes, and the American Revolution had some real all-stars. First up, we have George Washington, the fearless leader who would later become the first president of the United States. Washington was a brilliant military strategist and a symbol of American strength and determination. Then there's Thomas Jefferson, the brilliant mind behind the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was a passionate advocate for liberty and democracy, and his words inspired people all over the world. We also can't forget about Benjamin Franklin, the inventor, diplomat, and all-around genius who helped rally support for the revolution both at home and abroad. These are just a few of the many incredible individuals who shaped the American Revolution. From battlefield commanders to political thinkers, these revolutionaries risked everything for a chance to create a new and better nation. Now that we've met the heroes, let's talk about how they actually won the war. Section 5. Guerrilla warfare and surprise attacks. How the Americans won. The American colonists were heavily outnumbered and outgunned by the mighty British Army. So how did they manage to pull off a victory? Well, they got creative. Instead of facing the British head-on in traditional battles, the colonists relied on guerrilla warfare, a type of fighting that uses surprise attacks and hit-and-run tactics. They used their knowledge of the land to their advantage, ambushing British troops in forests and swamps. One famous example of this is the Battle of Saratoga, where the colonists' surprise victory convinced France to join the war on their side. Having France as an ally was a game-changer for the Americans. The colonists fought bravely and strategically, using their underdog status to their advantage. Their persistence and determination eventually wore down the British, paving the way for a hard-fought victory. What happened after the fighting stopped?